recording though.
Okay, and I will call the meeting to order at 5:32. And we will call roll.
Atkins,
Here.
Aldridge, Campbell,
Here.
Hannah,
Here.
Pruitt,
Here.
Aldridge, noted as absent.
Okay, we are going to be moving on to approval of some June minutes.
If you guys want to project those, or you want me
Did everybody have a chance to look at them already?
I looked at them, I wasn't at that meeting, so,
to pass through?
but I didn't look at them.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve this?
So moved. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, now we're gonna move on to the approval of June and July financials. Just looking online, in case you have any
Yes,
questions.
yes.
Will you pull up the?
Yeah,
file?
yeah.
Okay, cause I didn't bring
It's-
my laptop today.
So this is June 1st, and this closed out our last year's, budget, and it pretty much ran the way that it was running prior. We've talked about in the past. Kind of get down to the nuts and bones of it. Steph, do you have any question, or you have anything you wanna add when you, I don't know if you're on mute or not, on the budget? As far as the last year's closing of June?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I can't hear anything that anybody else is saying, just you, so I wasn't sure what the question was. All I have to say about the June financials is that we're still in, period 13, which means we're still closing out and trying to make those negatives on the board report be positive. Just basically it's like moving money around so that we don't have any negative line items in the budget. And that the final fiscal year end actually happens on August 30th with Cycle 9 that's being submitted. And Robin Keene at APSRC has been working really diligently with me to make sure that we get that all taken care of.
And we did end up operating in the red for last year as well, correct?
Yes.
At the end of the year. Is it?
Well,
Mhm.
basically, I think the majority of it was just child nutrition. We ended up having to kind of dip into some of our cash reserve, which is the Walton money, and some built up growth and declining growth monies that we've had in the past. We had to dip into those to kind of level out some of the other line items. But yes, we operated in the red.
Do you know how much? Can you hear me? This is Susan.
I can hear you. I can
Okay.
barely hear you.
Okay, I'll talk loud. Do you know how
Okay.
much you, like,
I don't have those numbers in front of me. They're not final yet because we're still working on the journal entries that are required to make sure that those line items are not negative. But once we get that, there's also the State Department has a Uber website that shows every year what our expenditures were, what our revenues were, and it shows whether we operated in the red or in the black. And so those numbers will be definitely finalized. And actually in September, at the board meeting in September, we will have to approve next year's budget, and I'll have all those numbers for you from last year as well.
because you close your the year on the August 30th.
Fiscal year end is June 30th. However, in finance, you have until August 30th to finalize and do all of the journal entries or transfers of monies in order to make everything come out
Sure.
like it's supposed to. You can't have a negative in operating or in federal funds, so you have to maneuver and manage money so that those are zeroed out.
Yes.
Steph, this is Griffin. Is there any just kind of itemized expense that's trending just well above budget for an anomalous or just an unusual reason?
I think one line item would be probably our building funds.
Sure.
We saw a pretty large increase of repairs and maintenance kind of for building last year. Also, the fact that we lost our facilities funding of over $100,000, we lost it because of our F grade. So that had to be absorbed by operating.
And absorbing that from operating, that's just getting pulled from multiple itemized expenses?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Well, so all of our loan, basically,
Mhm.
$20,000 a month for our building loan. We would offset those costs last year and the year before and the year before that with our charter's facility funding. And because we didn't get $111,000 this last year for that, then that was a definite increase into our operating.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions about the June financials, and talk about July after that?
Down here.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go into July now, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about that once I project it up. So it is sort of high level strategic, and I won't get into nuts and bolts too much. We're in a tricky spot right now, and we are budgeted, for 156, I believe it is, 166 students. We have about 110 right now. That doesn't affect our funding for this year. So that's, it's, what it affects is our funding for next year. And the problem that we're running into is that we're we still haven't secured, and this is probably going to our final information item as well, which is our loan, our loan update. We haven't secured still our final permanent building loan. And we're working with Civic Builders. They've made a few suggestions, which I can go into, but really what it means, I think we can right size for the number of students we have. We're close to right size. Belk went to Southside. We did not rehire that position. So, unfortunately that didn't put us into a bind of a lot of other issues of kind of domino effect of people having to pick up stuff that he was teaching, us having to rely more heavily on Virtual Arkansas. We'll see how that works out as far as having virtual, classes for a lot of our students. We have a plan that I think that's going to set them up for success. But, the issue is just that we're trying to secure that permanent financing. And until we do, we've got to be really careful with what our budget looks like, because we have third-party eyes looking at it. You look at Belk left, that's X amount of dollars, $60,000 or whatever. And so, my first thought is, oh, sweet, we have $60,000 and we're not gonna hire anybody. We can either provide bonuses, raises, whatever. But whenever we've got other people looking in from the outside at our budget, then that becomes a little bit more difficult, because they say, well, you've got 110 kids, that's what you're gonna be funded on next year, and you're taking money away that you may need for next year. So that's one of the really difficult positions that we're in right now, especially because we have a staff who's, stayed loyal, stayed with us, that's putting up with a lot of stuff right now. We have a staff who's dealt with, a lot of people leaving and having to pick up multiple classes that they haven't necessarily always taught, advisories that are way bigger than they've ever been. There's a lot of issues around that are, people deserve more compensation and need more compensation, but it's also, Civic has told us we've got to secure the loan by December, or we're going to be they're not going to bring it back to their board again. And so that's, very problematic. And, So, and I asked them what happens if we don't have the loan secured, because my feeling is that we're not gonna get the loan secured. We dealt with 4 different banks, none of them, all of them felt like it's not, and in an entity that's not a bank, actually 2 entities that aren't banks. And it's just because of the declining enrollment is really the piece. I mean, if you're in business and you saw someone that had a 30% decline in enrollment, looking at another 30% decline in enrollment, what's to say there's not another 30% decline in enrollment and another 30% decline in enrollment, and you're, loaning them $2.7 million, that's difficult. And so that's, what Civic has encouraged us to do is to right-size our loan amount, closer to what our revenues are by paying down some of that loan. And they've recommended that we, spend, one of theirs was just, they threw out $750,000 to pay down, so it's closer to $2 million. And they felt like that was, a more right-sized loan. Of course, the danger there is that we're taking $750,000 out of our reserves,
And
And so and I also I feel that they also want us to pay that down, because I think that puts them in a better position with their stakeholders, because now it doesn't look like it was like they made a bad loan, or a bad initial, outlay whenever they helped us build a building. So, so I asked them what happens if we default, and they said, well, we'll may have to pass you over to one of our other, to maybe a different lending organization. And, the whole thing with that is just what interest rates will be and all that. I mean, I think we were at $19,000 a month last, during our last 6-month period that we had with Civic, it went up to $24,000 a month now. So, that's another $5,000 a month, basically.
Do you know off the top of your head, if you paid down that $750,000, how much lower would the monthly payments be?
I don't. Steph, do you know?
They didn't give us a number. They encouraged us, but please remember that we also have $350,000 that they're holding on to that would go toward that. So it wouldn't be a total of $750,000 from our cash reserve necessarily. It would be more like, $400,000 of our cash reserve plus the $350,000 that they hold in escrow. And then they didn't give us, they're not the ones that are going to give us the loan. They're saying that if we pay down our loan, $750,000 of our loan, that we make ourselves more attractive to lenders to give us a loan that is a lot less. Right now it's at like 3.1 million, I believe, and so having that cut back by almost $1 million would definitely probably make it more attractive for us to actually get a loan. We've been turned down so many times, and I don't know if the total amount of the loan is the thing that's scaring people away, or if it's the enrollment, or if it's any number of other factors. But I do want to emphasize that Unitranche actually has $350,000 of our cash reserve with them. That would go toward the paying down.
Hey Steph, this is Susan, can you hear me okay?
I can kind of hear you.
Okay. I'll talk. I think I kind of have an idea. I wish I had my laptop in front of me. I think I remember how much is in our reserve. It's a little over $1 million.
Well, no. We have about $730,000 is in our Walton reserve.
Mm-hmm.
We do have about 150-ish in our growth and declining. So I don't have that total number right in front of me.
That'd be good.
It's
to know.
around $1 million.
I was thinking it was, yeah. I just don't have my stuff in front of me. I'm just thinking.
What's the value of this building?
We're appraised at $10 million.
10, okay.
Yeah.
But, and that's why I always thought that, we're appraised at this. If it was a residential piece and you have a building that appraises at 10,
and you're wanting a $2 million loan on it, that's not a problem.
Right.
Nobody wants to take over a school building.
Right.
So it's not like reselling a house.
Yeah.
A bank's trying to resell a school, and there's not, a big market for that.
I'm just trying to understand why, if we were to put in another 750, understand 400 plus 3, but why would that make it that much more attractive?
I think they feel like, what they said is, it's right sizing the loan as
Yeah.
far as it's making it more, whereas whenever they're looking at our revenues, it makes it where if there's a better, it's a better
Yeah,
ratio between your between your revenue and your debt service.
Yeah,
where-
it makes it look like we can actually afford it.
Yeah.
Especially if we have a declining enrollment, like we just got an
Mhm.
email today or yesterday from Unitranche, Avery at Unitranche saying, what enrollment do you have to be sitting at to be able to pay your bills? And what does that look like? That's what banks are gonna be looking at.
Mhm.
They're gonna be looking at, hey, you're getting funded on 166 students this year, but if you're only funded on 112 next year, can you still make this loan payment? And if we pay down our loan, to pretty heavily pay it down, that makes it where it's more feasible for us to make that loan payment. It's not gonna be 24,000, it could be 15,000 or maybe even less. They didn't give us a number.
So my thinking on that is, and what I would like what I hope we can potentially make happen is, and a lot of this is gonna be on our letter grade. Approaching the Waltons if we're an F school, probably even if we're a D school. If we were to show a C school, even a high D, I think we could potentially, because I think that they're talking about paying down that loan, and then we need $400,000 or $500,000 or whatever, that's a more attractive ask of someone like that than paying, pay $2.7 million that we need to pay off our building. But instead, we need to get to this point where this loan is an amount that's attractive to other people, then potentially, and we don't want to tap into our reserves because that's gonna hurt our potential long-term feasibility as we weather these sort of lower enrollment times. And so, the thing is, once we secure this loan, if we get that done, then, I feel good about our ability as an organization, right? Once we don't have third-party eyes looking at our balance sheets and deciding whether we're a good investment or not, then I feel confident about what we can do. I feel, confident that we can, do some of the things I've been talking about around compensation and things like that, and be looking at that, because I think that we can, it's just a matter of those eyes looking at things and what they're seeing right now.
So right now, got 110 kids. Because we also, one thing I think we need to remember too is, there was a decline last year and we were already stressing about funding for this year based upon
Right.
that decline from last year. And now we're talking about, now we're already looking into the next year with
Yeah.
another 30. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we were
Oh, yeah.
crunching the number. Okay,
I-
go
I'd
ahead.
like to just say something really quick. I'd like to also remind you guys, I don't know if you're looking at the financials or not for next year yet. Maybe
Yeah,
No.
They're up, so we can, if you have a specific
Are we on
piece.
July?
Well,
Oh,
I just wanna remind you all, and I'm happy to give you these numbers as well in a different spreadsheet that I have set up. But basically, our revenue for next year was decreased by about $480,000. But also, because of declining enrollment, the state does give us money. And last year we got $24,000 due to declining enrollment. This next year we get $200,000 in declining enrollment. So they are trying to help kind of offset that declining enrollment for us. So we are getting funding for it. It's just that because we have fewer students, we're also getting less state foundation funding, and we're gonna be okay with the lower funding, the lower student enrollment, as long as we continue to get that declining enrollment money. that really, I mean, $200,000 is gonna be incredible. It's gonna really help our budget for sure.
But, and we would get it decline, you know, if we go down to 100, let's say at the end of this third quarter, our third quarter average is 120 kids or whatever, and that's down from what we were budgeted for this year of 160. So we'll get a declining enrollment again there. Next year we would as well. But then if we were to stabilize at that amount of kids,
Yeah.
125, you don't get it, you know, because you didn't decline the next year. So then we would have to
It's
have
so
a.
crazy, it's so crazy because they give you growth and,
Growth
you know, they
money,
give you
yeah.
growth money
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah.
so if we go from 120 to, 150, then they give us growth money for those
Yeah.
30 kids that we
Yeah.
have too.
Yeah.
So there is declining in growth money that's there that we will be getting.
It's probably impossible to really add to this, but do you have any color kind of thoughts to, should we anticipate another decrease from this time to this time next year? And is that, and going back to that 750 number, so that loan repayment to have a more appropriate mortgage payment, is that taking into consideration another drop in enrollment?
Right, yeah, that would, right, that,
Yeah.
we don't have a good handle on that,
Okay.
but it would definitely, you know, I mean, 100, going from 160 to 110 kids would be a significant decrease in revenue. And that's my concern also with, as we look at lenders is, they're gonna be looking at what we're at this year, but if they're looking at what we're at next year, you know, and talking about making that ratio between revenue and debt service, I mean, so, you know, at 160, at the revenue of 160 kids, they're saying we need to bring that debt down 750,000 potentially. At the revenue of 110 kids or 120 kids, whatever, how much more does it even need to go back to make that ratio work?
Yeah.
So that's concerning.
I'm definitely not an expert in any of this. I am learning a lot, but my opinion is that the 750,000, I don't think is a safe bet as far as our cash reserve. If we could even lower it 500,000 and maybe we present that to Unitrich or Civic Builders, and just say, what about if it was just 500,000? I'm really, really worried about the cash reserve being tapped into, especially if we have declining enrollment every year. Yes, we get funding from the state, but we're digging into some of our cash reserve. I've really buckled down on a child nutrition department and basically told them this year there's no wiggle room. Like we cannot bail you out again. So there's going to be, hopefully that is not going to be an issue for next year. But there's all of these expenditures that we have no control over. We cannot lower some of these expenditures that are very high.
Yeah.
We did a huge cut in salaries, and that actually is going to be super helpful for us. But I just don't think that 750,000 of our cash reserve is going to benefit us in the long term, but maybe a lower amount might be more feasible. And I don't even know if that's something that would be, that some bank would say, okay, well, if you lower it 500,000, then sure. But
Right.
I don't know, that's just what I'm thinking, because I'm seeing our cash reserve go down and down little by little, and I'm thinking, we're gonna need that, especially if our enrollment keeps going down.
And that Steph alluded to something else, and I mean, this is probably obvious to everybody, but, you know, there's very little that's not a fixed cost of the school. As far as our big line items, you know, I mean, our utilities are gonna be the same regardless. Our debt service on the loan is the same regardless. You know, and our building repairs, it's gonna, and there's some little wiggle room, and sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, you know, but regardless of whether we have 10 kids in the building, or, you know, whether we have 500 kids in the building, a lot of those things just remain the same.
Yeah.
So, you know, as we talk about repeatedly, really the only place that there is that's a dynamic and that you can actually change is the big one is salary. You know, and we can nickel and dime, you know, school supplies and textbooks and you know, and audit all of the different, you know, things that we subscribe to, But, you know, at the end of the day, that's just a small amount of savings, and really doesn't, you know, it's not gonna move the needle on the budget. So, and so that's the unfortunate part, is there's not something, you know, you start going through the budget with a fine tooth comb, and you don't find something where you're like, oh my gosh, I just saved us $80,000. You know, it's just, it's not, or $100,000 or whatever, it's just, it's not there.
I have two things. One, just because I think from the very beginning, I think we're the.
I can't hear.
Oh, sorry, Steph. I think we're the only, and Steph, that have been here from the beginning. This is the lowest number we've ever had.
Not since, well, since
No,
we've been, since we've been 4 grades, for sure.
Okay, yeah, 4.
Yes.
And probably since we've been 3 grades. Like even when we were just 10, 11, and 12, I think we were even at 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, that's what I
We
mean,
were
like,
125, and now we're 4 grades at 100.
That's what I mean, when we had all, yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, so I just wanted to note that. And then the second thing is, what I worry about is if we continue, I think that we would continue to decline if we're not offering like in-person classes. You know, these kids can get that Learns Act money and take those classes online versus coming in here and sitting in a classroom taking those same classes online. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit different, and it's only some classes that they're taking. I mean, the majority of their classes are not, this is some very specific offerings that they're having to do. Yes, but I
That's
agree
a
that there's a
concern.
hazard. And we've never had, since we started, we've never had good success with our specific students with doing virtual classes. And so we're trying to hedge our bets with that and try to figure out how to build in support so that they do have success, you know. And I will say Virtual Arkansas has come a long way. It's an actual it's not a self-paced, self-guided class. I mean, it's like taking an online class in college where they're logging into Canvas and they're actually doing things like that, and going to, attending lecture, or, actually logging into class and things of that nature. It's not the same thing as just doing a self-guided,
Yeah. I could see a lot of high school age kids, just because I only have one that would do it, being like, I'll take that $7,200 and I'll just go online, and, because that's what I'd be doing for half of my classes at future school anyways. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know, that's just a concern I have. Because, Denver would do that.
But the other problem is we can't hire the staff
No, I get it.
to offer them, unless we ask everybody to teach 6 different things.
Yeah,
you know.
I understand that, it's just something that is in my head,
Yeah.
so.
So when does a decision need to be made on how much you would pay down?
I mean, that's kind of ongoing conversations.
Okay.
I mean, they're saying that we need to have, we come up again before their board in December, and that won't happen.
November.
November,
Yeah.
November would, yeah,
Mhm.
we would need to have the loan secured by November, so that by December we can close.
I feel like it's not that we've exhausted all of our banks and just options, but I just would be very just mindful of not doing any measure until we feel certain that it actually will move the needle.
Yeah,
And so it's kind of chicken and the egg, and I hear you, Steph, that we want to try and be more marketable to whoever we go out to. I would just hate to do a measure, we go to the bank and they say,
and it's
well,
still, yeah.
that's not right, we actually need it to be tailored to this, you know? So
Yeah.
I'd almost want to be reactive to what the banks ask to get that loan, as opposed to just making and it's not a quick decision, but just by making a decision that may or may not matter.
Yeah.
Well, and I have an action item, Griffin, to contact Danielle Rogers again at Arvest. She is the one that we talked to. The last bank we talked to, they turned us down. It is on my to-do list to actually reach out to her and just ask her.
Good.
If we were to lower the total loan amount and by paying down some of that loan, would that actually help us secure this loan? And not even just doing it, but just kind of touching base with her, just saying, and maybe even with, a couple other people that we've reached out to. We do have one other option that's Unitranche has given to us that we need to tap into and just see if that would be an option as well. But I do know that Civic Builders, Avery at Civic Builders is working to, I sent him all of our financials. He's working on creating a more, I don't know, appealing financials to send to them, based on removing kind of our debt service loan out of our budget, just to show what we can actually afford. So with our revenue and with our enrollment for the next couple of years, can we actually afford, $15,000 a month? And if we can, then let's use some of that money to pay that down. So it is on my to-do list to reach out to Danielle and just kind of get a feel from her if that is even gonna be something that would be helpful. There's no way we would go ahead and pay down our debt without actually knowing what the ROI on that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only way we would is if sort of the final straw is that, we get to December and Civic says, we'll hook you up with a loan with this sister organization or whatever, but you're gonna have to pay down the debt to this amount.
Yeah, exactly.
But, and like I said, once we get this long-term loan completed, then I'm not really worried about anything. It's just a matter of, getting this done. So. Any other questions on finance?
Everybody good? Okay, do we have a motion to approve June and July financials?
A motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
A lot of the next stuff, a lot of that is pretty, I wouldn't say routine, but it's, a lot of it's just sort of stuff waiting to pass. I don't go through one side. Okay. All right, first piece of statement of assurances, every year, we gotta do this. This is the, it's a little different this year because it's an RAP this year and I need to upload it to RAP. But it is, and I'll go ahead and share that, so if you haven't had a chance to look at it. So this is basically our federal program statement of assurances around SNIDA and IDEA, sorry. And basically, it's the same every year, which I sent this out to you all in the budget to look over. But we need to have it that we approve that, and then myself and Maisha want to sign it, and then I can upload it to our
There hadn't been any changes since last.
nothing that applies, nothing that applies to us as far as.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
That was Pruitt. Moves in a second.
Yes, sir.
Board, I apologize for showing up late. I got tied up in the meeting, so I've been connected and listening for the last 8 days.
Okay, thanks, Bobby. Yeah, we could, if you want to vote, we can take your vote.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll note you as present virtually, starting about 6 p.m. All right. The next is, this is a new one that I've never, it's probably something that we had one of these in the past. The one I found was super outdated. It's the board resolution for signatories and basically like who signs our checks. And that needs to be designated and uploaded into, it's not our app, there's a new thing we're using, I can't think of the name of it now. But it's gotta be designated and uploaded into that. And so I was gonna do that, and let me just see if I can find it. Look at the resolution.
Do the system that we use require 2 signatures?
What's that?
The system that we use is require 2?
Yeah, exactly, yeah, 2 signatures, and so that would be, and this is basically, that myself and Susan, when we approve checks and things of that nature, that we're the two that do that, we designated as the, and so that's just basically a resolution saying that with Artis. Right now, I think that technically, our checks are still, we've gotta get with Arvest and get all that updated, make sure that our checks are being signed, by myself and Susan, the actual signatures that are on there, so.
I know I gave the signature to.
Yeah, but yeah, so this would be that resolution.
Looks good. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
And that was Hannah moves. Atkins, Atkins. And then finally, this is salary schedule, and this is really just, every year we've kept the same salary schedule. The only piece is we've had kind of a practice that we wanted to formalize, because there's always a lot of confusion around it. That we've always used in the past, and then people were often kind of, don't I get some more money if I get a master's, or don't I get some more money if I get my certification? And it's like, yes, you do, but it wasn't in the salary schedule, and it's not, anything significant, unfortunately. But the base pay is $50,000 for a certified teacher. And then if they get a license, it's an additional $1,000, and then a master's would be an additional $1,000 as well. If they have a license, additional $1,000, and a master's, additional $1,000. And right now that pay would go from $50,000 to $70,000. And we don't have, Steph and I have talked about going ahead and making an actual step salary. APSRC has always been really against that, because of the things like declining enrollment and instability around revenues and things like that. And then if you get but that being said, we also have to recognize that it's a competitive environment, and any of our teachers right now, even if they're first year, could go over to Fort Smith and make more money and probably have an easier job. So, we probably need to look at something, to figure out how to just make it, and it's also, I kind of hate it because it's always a gray area, and it's always feels a little bit, do we ever have, the first few years it felt like we were often at the point where we could give either raises or bonuses. Of course, starting pay was $34,000 as well. But we were also constantly increasing enrollment, so it felt like we were in a good position. We haven't given, other than whenever the $50,000 LEARNS Act went in, and started mandating that, we haven't given any raises, nothing system-wide. And so that feels really, arbitrary. It feels like it doesn't let people know where they stand. It doesn't it just opens up a lot of different issues. And so, looking at that, and yeah, I understand why APSRC doesn't like it, and I get that. At the end of the day, though, even if we were paying our 8 advisors that we have right now $10,000 more, because that's where they were on the step schedule, and they could be all over the place, that's $80,000, which is a lot, but it's not. If you've got it, if it's codified that you're doing it, then you're just going to do it and figure out a way to make it happen. Or if it's not codified, and it's not kind of, we aren't holding ourselves to that, then it kind of becomes it becomes, oh, can we find some money somehow? And the answer is usually no. It feels like the answer is always no. That we're in a bad position, that we can't do it right now, whatever. So, anyway, I'm not, like I said, we've got to get this issue settled with our loan, and then I think we thought we'd look at that, because otherwise it's just, and I know that we're not going to be competitive with Fort Smith Public, because we just can't be, but we can at least get it where people kind of know where they stand and what the future holds for them if they stay around. So.
I thought you'll also clarify too, Lloyd, this vote right here is a required vote for a salary schedule, not necessarily step salary. Since the LEARNS Act, it is not not required to have step salary, which means every year that you're a teacher, you get, they're doing it more on merit now, and they're not requiring the step, which is like, I think Fort Smith Public is like $900 more every year. This is not what we're voting on. What we're voting on is just the salary schedule, the basic, what Boyd said was 50,000 if you have a bachelor's, 51 if you get a license, and 52 if you get a master's. And then we can arbitrarily decide if we, they've been in teaching for 20 years, then we can kind of decide where that lands after that. But we do have to have an actual approval from the board on the new salary schedule, which is just that basic, very simple, and it has to go into our policy, and it has to be posted on our website.
Yeah, but we are, I don't think in the past we've had the license bonus master's bonus has
No,
not been
no, that's
officially
why this
covered.
has to be
That's the
approved.
difference, yeah.
Yeah, that's why this has to be approved.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Looks like we go to some informational items.
I sent you all out information about our first informational item.
Mm-hmm. An update on soccer
Update
Fridays.
on the Solid Broad case. And I sent to you all the sort of the official report that was made. And I'll just kind of give you high level, and then staff can probably give you more about what all happened. We don't know full extent of everything that happened. We do have reason to believe there were probably a couple of emails that were hacked. And we do and through Google, a hack of the Google ecosystem. And then we know that Steph's for sure, and possibly another employees that was just not as consequential, was hacked, and then that allowed them access to eFinance. And then through eFinance, they altered people's bank accounts and routing numbers, and almost half the employees. And we discovered it whenever on Friday payday happened, and half the people, including myself, didn't get paychecks. So started looking into it, and pretty quickly they figured, Steph and Arvest, and then also the AD or DESI, and the IT people there sort of figured out pretty quickly what had happened, that eFinance had been, they gained access to it. My only speculation is they got Steph's Google account, they then through their Google account got access to other passwords. And then because they had a Google account, they were actually able to bypass two-factor authentication, because they were getting the emails for the 2FAs. And so they were also able to use their 2FA to get into the finance system. And they altered those. We actually, kind of going back, this actually started, the first alterations that we know happened were in July. There were some non-payroll deposits that were made for travel expenses for some people, reimbursements for some things, working some extra hours, and those went through in mid-July. And there was some confusion because there had been some changed bank accounts as well for some of those people. Two of the people reported that their accounts, that they, it actually, I think it was 5 people, Steph, you may have to correct me. Only 2 of those reported that their account didn't, that money didn't go to where it was supposed to. And then it was just kind of thought it was a glitch or something at that point. I looked through it. I think the payments were then made to the proper places. Since then it's come out, oh, I didn't get those either back in July whenever I was supposed to get those. And so we know that this happened in July, but because it wasn't a full payroll and it wasn't like people's checks, it was smaller amounts that were being sent out, it wasn't detected then. And so then whenever this happened on Friday, obviously it was detected. It's about $45,000 that went out. We do have we can apply for an insurance through the state that will allow us to recover that money because the money's gone as of this point, it seems. And so we can apply for insurance to the state that will allow us to recover that money, as well as any of our employees, I believe, that may have, have issues. The bigger issue, and that's, because all that's kind of whatever, you know, I mean, it's awful, but people have been made whole as far as that goes. You know, our
Everybody
school,
got paid.
yeah, everybody's gotten paid, albeit maybe later than what they could, and that could have incurred damages as well, because if you have your auto draft set to come out on, you know, the 15th, and instead that you're on the, whatever, you know, there's issues around that.
How long did it take them to get paid?
I believe everybody got, so anybody that had Arvest got paid on that Friday.
Okay.
We got the payroll rerun, but our staff did before 3, which is what Arvest said, we can send it out if we get it done before 3, so we got that done. Anybody that, because I had to go to Federal Reserve, so if it was either Friday or Saturday, if your bank will do deposits on Saturday, and then if not, then it was Monday, and I'm not sure if anybody was affected and had to go already.
I did not receive any feedback, from anyone that received it on Monday. As far as I know, everyone received it before 5 o'clock on Friday or on Saturday morning.
That's good. That's very responsive.
The bigger issue is we don't really know the full extent of information that was taken.
Leaked.
Yeah, that was leaked, or that was extracted or taken. You know, we don't know. They have the entire Google Drive account. Currently now, all of our like, people's information is uploaded into PowerSchool, Power Documents, and so it's not stored on locally. But in the past, not student information.
Yeah.
In the past, we're talking about employee information.
Okay,
Employee information. In the past, though, there's lots and lots of employee information that's located in Google Drives. And, you know, in people's tax, socials, you know, tax information. Potentially, I mean, it's not stored there, but if there's certain insurance documents that might have been filed through HR, about children, you know, and things like that. So that's really where we have more concerns than just sort of the immediate financial issues.
The cyber insurance through the state, a lot of times they'll offer digital forensics.
Yes,
Have you reached out to them?
it's
on
the
that?
state, it's through the state of Arkansas, and it's for all public entities. They actually do have the policy taken out for all public, government and public entities, which includes public school systems. It's up to $100,000 per incident or per entity maybe. But we basically just have to submit reports of the incidents and the different things that have been done to rectify it, and then they are the ones that decide whether or not we can get our money back.
Keenan's question was specifically about cyber forensics, and you have had somebody out already, correct, on that?
Oh, yes. So I was on the phone all weekend with the Department of Education's cyber unit, as well as the state of Arkansas cyber IT specialists and cyber units. They have they've been working tirelessly to just kind of pinpoint how this happened, where it happened. Yesterday, I was on campus, and an IT guy from the co-op came and ran scans. I brought my home computers to work so that they could scan those and run reports. They're looking at all of that log information now to kind of pinpoint where it's all at.
Good, and have we done password resets, MFA resets
Oh,
for
yeah.
everybody?
Oh, gosh, yes. Oh, Lord, help me. Friday morning, like 8:30, when I got that first text, and within about 3 hours, when I finally just figured out what was going on, I changed all my passwords. I did send out an email this weekend to all current staff saying, freeze your credit, change your passwords, give them all these kind of things to do to help protect them as well.
And then, I believe, I have it turned on already, 2FA or MFA,
Yeah.
whatever, for all of
Yeah.
our Google ecosystem as well.
I was looking, and most of these compromises, and I've seen it firsthand, come in through
I
some sort of.
hear
Yeah, so Keenan said that.
So most of these compromises will come in through email, some sort of link, looks looks legitimate,
Mhm.
you follow it, you put in your credentials, it takes you to the real website. They're really hard to spot. There's a lot of tools within Google that will flag those for you. It would be a good idea to do a review of that and turn all of that on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a list of things I can
Well,
send
and
you.
I
out.
do
Yeah,
have
yeah, that
one
would be
cyber
good.
specialist I was on the phone with on Friday night, even till 10 o'clock that night, by the way. He did log into my Google account and go through all the settings, all the things. He did locate where they had changed some settings, where they were filtering my incoming emails that talked about pay or direct deposit to my trash, so I would never see them. So they found all of these things, and they were able to rectify those by changing all of those settings and updating them. But,
So I'm not talking about
yeah,
just your
they're-
email, I'm talking about all of the school's email from the admin console.
Right, right.
Right, that is not something that has been done with all the school emails.
Yeah, so if you could send me the list of tools and then we can.
That'd be
implement those.
awesome, yeah.
What have you seen, Keenan, as far as the repercussions? And this is one of the things we want to talk about it too, is like, if there's somebody you know that, to talk to staff and kind of tell them like, this is where your real vulnerability is from this potential leak. And this is what, because I think there's just a lot of like worst case concerns on everybody's part.
Well, the reality of it is what they may have, right? They may have your socials, they may have your bank account information if that's there, any loose document, they may have access to that. They may try to ransom that on the web somewhere, which you don't want to pay the ransom because they're going to release it anyway. You have no guarantees. But the reality of the situation is all that information has probably already been compromised with
Right, it's
somebody
probably on the
else.
dark web, on a data leak from Marshalls or TJ Maxx.
So, I mean, credit monitoring, credit locking is by far your best course of action. Beyond that, the school's responsibility, we're probably gonna have to put together some sort of notice to inform them. There's also reports to the state they'll have to be compliant with.
Yeah, and we've got legal consulting us on, talk to them, yeah.
I spoke with APSRC's legal counsel today twice. They're in the process of helping us make sure that what we send out, because we're a PIPA state, there are certain required information that you have to send out. It will be to every employee we've ever had, because all of that information is on there and it was possibly compromised. But I do have a kind of a draft email. Well, it's gonna be a letter. It'll be an actual document to send out to every employee we've ever had. But we're just making sure through legal that we capture all of the things that are needing to be added to that.
And as far as school liability, probably have to have some sort of payment for credit monitoring to like each of these
Yes,
individuals.
right.
That's something else we definitely talked about, looking into the cost of having credit monitoring available for anybody that chooses to.
The cyber insurance should cover that.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you able to determine how they hacked you? Did you click on a malicious link or?
No,
you know yet?
We don't know yet. That was what the scanning of my computer yesterday was for. I haven't received any of those reports yet. I did talk to a couple of them today. They're working through that. Just briefly, when the guy was at my desk, scanning my, I have Macs. I have a Mac Mini for work, remote work, and I have my own personal Mac laptop. And he even indicated that he didn't even know how to really handle the Macs. He was going to have to get some help. But that Macs are usually pretty secure, and that they're not as vulnerable as maybe a Windows machine. But it looks like it could have been on my Mac Mini that I use for work remotely. And it looks like they may have possibly downloaded some sort of malware. When he was looking through the list, he named off a couple of them. One of them was the Department of Education VPN that I use every day, all day. One of them was something else that I use with the Department of Education. And one of them was called Rosetta. He's like, well, your school, did you have Rosetta Stone downloaded? And I said, absolutely not. I just bought this computer back in January. So that is a possibility that was a malware that was downloaded onto my computer.
Yeah, and it's also possible, Bonnie, like I said, is that a hack of your Google, I mean, if you use Chrome all the time, and I'm guilty,
Yes.
and if if they hack your Google password in Chrome and you don't have 2FA set up with your passwords, they have all your passwords, if you say your password is Chrome. So then they've got access to everything, and we don't know if that's what happened, but I mean, if it were to happen to me, that's how they would get access to all my stuff, And it's pretty, like Keenan alluded to, it's pretty easy to, click one of those links and ask you, sign in your Google account, or whatever, and you click it, and then you're done.
Yeah, once they
And
have that,
I'm
they have the token.
I'm happy to send out the original incident report that was submitted to the state and to the Department of Education, to each of you, so that you can just read.
I sent that to them earlier today, Steph.
Oh, okay, wonderful. And then I do have some updated, stuff that I had to send in to them today that I can also send to Boyd and he can send you guys.
Okay.
Other questions?
Just so I understand, so it was about $45,000, and did insurance, they just covered that just instantly?
No, we pulled it out.
No.
You pulled it out, okay.
Yeah, we'll have to apply to get that recovered, yeah.
And that's,
I'll
we're not
also
as,
say that my first priority on Friday wasn't, I knew that we'd been hacked, I figured it out. My first priority is make sure that staff got their money.
yeah, definitely, no, that's great. But we shouldn't expect a fight with insurance, this is pretty
Yeah, no.
No,
I don't-
no.
cut
This
standard,
is-
yeah.
It seems to be a pretty cut and dry, they
Good.
just need a report, they need to have all the details and then, yeah.
And that should be within the month, we should be able to get that money.
I'm hoping so. Some of the documents that I've read over the cyber insurance, say it could take up to 90 days for the claim to be reimbursed, but I don't know the details of all of that yet.
Okay. Sorry you guys went through that.
Like they say, it's a matter of when, not a matter of if.
Yeah, heard that too.
Yeah, it's gotten pretty, yeah. So anyway, that's, use 2FA or, anyway, tokens and all that good stuff. I complain constantly about having to, in the Microsoft ecosystem, having to use the little pop-up authenticator, and now I'm not complaining so much. So, okay, anything else on that? You all, okay. Academic update, we don't have a lot that's, to report, other than we've got all kinds of, awesome initiatives that are going on right now. Restructured our Rocket Hour a little bit. Wednesdays for our 9th and 10th graders, we've also restructured to be really focused predominantly, unless they'll be in 4 groups. 1 will be off campus on a given day doing community service. The other 3 will be doing predominantly academic interventions. And that's just to continue to help with, our issues around test scores and all that. We've talked a lot about our test scores that, I don't know, we presented to you guys on that, but things are encouraging. We're definitely gonna see an increase, in our letter grade, or in our school, number at least. I mean, I'm hoping that we are, it would be tragic. But I don't wanna also say that we're definitely a D, or we're definitely a C, or whatever, but, that's looking good. Our 9th grade, enrollment is not great, as we talked about, but we do have some great 9th graders, that have come in, so that's really good. And
How many do we have? How many ninth graders?
9th graders, I think there's 19 right now. Christy, you know?
That's approximately correct.
But yeah, so, but, and we wanna grow, absolutely, but if we grow a lot, it's gonna also create some pain points around enrollment in classes and things of that nature as well. So that won't, but, that'll be a good problem to have, and we'll deal with that, as it comes. The Rocket Hour, we've kind of refocused it, which is sort of an intervention period, and on Mondays, the students are doing catch-up on homework, Tuesdays is literacy work, Thursdays is math work, and then Fridays are beyond clubs and enrichment like we normally do. you know, we used to try to have interdisciplinary teams, with like, the English teachers together, the math teachers together, science teachers together. But now we're like, 2 English teachers, 2 math teachers, 1 science teacher. And so a lot of that sort of, that PLC work that we're really trying to embed into it, we're limiting a little bit more, and it's happening on Wednesdays, every other week on Wednesdays. But it's a little bit different focus of the work, than what we've done in the past, is work with the ESRC to do that. But, I mean, the teachers, I told them yesterday, whenever we had our staff huddle, I'm so proud, because they, despite the hack, despite all the different things that are going on, whenever they are in the classroom, all that stuff kind of goes to the side, gets compartmentalized, and they're showing up for our kids, and showing up for the community, and doing amazing work in the classroom, day in and day out. So it's pretty impressive to see, because it's hard a lot of times to not let that stuff kind of intrude, and so they've done awesome work there. Moving on to renewal and loan update.
Can I ask a quick question, academic, I'm sorry. How many math teachers do we have right now?
2. But, well, not really. Mel is teaching math, and Nathaniel is supposed to be math, but he has now moved to just predominantly computer science. So Mel,
one math?
yeah. Yeah,
I just know math has been kind of always our,
yeah.
Achilles heel, yeah.
and I just love to see when
It's still, we saw some growth. I mean, math was better last year than it has been in previous years. I'll say that. And we hope it'll get, I do think that, and not that IXL is a magic bullet, because it's not, and any kind of tech solution is never going to be the end all be all and to solve everything. But I think we did see a lot of improvement around that, and Mel was doing a lot of that work around IXL as well. So I think that, we continue that initiative. We've got a really big focus on writing this year as well, because that was one of our weak points, which was across the state.
Yeah,
A lot
math and
of
writing
people's
always
weak points
goes
across the state, and so we're doing a lot of work with writing as well, writing cross curriculum initiative. Jessica Wright from NSRC came in and kind of helped set that up and what that looks like, and so that's another big focus as well for the year.
What are you hearing about when we might know what the levy rate's gonna be?
Soon-ish. They're saying early fall is what they said.
Okay.
So that's, I've not seen a specific date as of now though, but that's what early fall. Other questions?
I'm optimistic.
No, I
think
am
it's gonna
too.
happen.
I am too. Renewal and loan update, renewal got happened, got renewed, yay. For 3 years, which I think we talked about at the last board meeting as well. Loan update, we kind of talked a little bit about that, where we're at, and I did that kind of in the financial pieces.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Do we need to come up with some kind of team to help with that? I don't know, I'm just like, something we need to do to help.
Yeah, it's really just, I wish that Brandon was like, great at dealing with those situations, and he would probably step in and help out some.
Absolutely.
But I really, we meet with Civic quite a bit, and I just don't know,
Have you reached out to Brandon?
he and I texted earlier in the week, so, or earlier last week.
Do you think
So,
having a meeting with Brandon would help?
potentially. It's gonna take him a while to get up to speed on where we're at, as far as where the current budget is at, but it could potentially.
He's a smart one.
Yeah.
It won't take him long to get up to speed.
I said,
No, I can reach out to him.
Yeah.
He said he's more than
He's
happy to.
such a good
Yeah.
resource too, like, just,
Mhm.
he's so level. I don't know, okay. Is there anything we can do?
find, $750,000, or even better, 2.3, and pay this whole thing off. Be awesome.
You get on that, Susan.
Yeah,
There's a capital campaign fundraiser.
yeah, I know. That has been your gig in the past. So that'd be awesome. Yeah. The only other thing I would say, I mean, we have a lot of staff here, so I don't know, I was not aware a lot of staff are coming today, but that's great, so.
I like it.
I don't know if they have things that, we don't normally, kind of have to be on the agenda to, speak. But I wouldn't mind if anybody, if you wanna have this open, you guys have a few minutes to, if they have anything they want to say.
I'm open to that, but I'm going to stick to the rules, cause I've made mistakes before when and I did limit that time.
Yeah.
And the rule is 5 minutes, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanna put that out there.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything to say?
Chrissy just took out the bathroom.
What's that?
Chrissy just took out the bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely wait till she gets back. Does anybody else, or do you wanna wait till Christy gets back to speak? Is that what you're saying?
I'm good, but if she has something, I just wanna make sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm just here to listen.
Yeah. I like it.
I do too.
Everybody.
It's great.
And then for some that might not have ever participated, just to see what it's like, because it is open to the public and it's open to everybody, so.
We usually have a few people that watch online.
Yeah, yeah,
Teresa always likes to watch.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the.
Who is your administrative review looking for?
Yeah, well, we had 9.
Just wait on you, Christie.
We actually, yeah.
That was
It's not.
Chris, did you have anything you want, we were gonna open up the, if you had anything you wanted to say or add or anything. Okay, you were the one we were waiting on, all right? We're all- All right.
Does anybody have anything else? Okay. Well, I put a motion in to adjourn for today.
I'll second.
I.
Alright.
All right, awesome. All right, thank you all for joining us online as well. Bobby, it's good seeing you.
Thank you.